Jarrett Green, hello.
Hi,
We're here. It's me.
it's me.
It's me and me. It's Alex. It's Jarrett. We're here. We're gonna play some Deathloop.
Have you heard of this Deathloop?
Seems like all the
All the
kids
kids are playing.
are talking about Deathloop.
Yeah.
If this is your first time experiencing Deathloop, if you're here like, oh, let's see what these guys think of Deathloop. Just fair warning, this is a post game save file, so there might be something like ambivalent dialogue that I can't control that pops up that might spoil or say something. I think the game is pretty good about it, to be honest. But I'm gonna try and avoid some of like the menus that have kind of everything that's going on. But this is Deathloop. I figure I'll give like a little overview first, and then maybe we can start a level and talk about it for a little bit. But the gist, if you're not familiar, is you are playing Colt, who's this guy in the background, very handsome man, who has to break a loop. And so there are 4 kind of periods throughout this 1-day time loop: morning, noon, afternoon, and night. And I can actually change the period here. This is kind of like before we go into any missions. And then there are 4 stages, and some are only accessible during certain parts of the day. You can see the visionaries, my targets that I need to kill, and let me know if they're at a particular stage at a certain time. Right now it's noon. And then you have kind of like your leads that you can track that will kind of take you to an objective that is solvable, that'll hopefully get you closer to figuring out the main plot. And then it has some other stuff like weapons, powers, and stuff that you can sort through. But this is kind of like the home base of Deathloop. This is where every run starts, and hopefully not where every run ends. And then yeah, this is my loadout. I have a lot of stuff in here, but we'll kind of get into that when we play. So I'm gonna restart the loop actually, because I feel like that's probably the right thing to do.
And an important detail is that most of the 4 locations you can kind of access at any time. Like some might be locked based on the time period, whereas you can't go backwards in time necessarily. So you can go to Carl's Bay probably 3 of the 4 time periods, but you can't go from the afternoon back to the morning without resetting the loop.
Yes.
So you kind of have to plan your runs from morning to night sort of linearly that way.
Yeah, which is cool. It's very easy to understand, in a similar way to like day 1, day 2, and day 3 of Majora's Mask.
It's like I think I've talked to quite a bunch about this game. This is very much like thinking. I think about playing, the moment to moment in this game the same way I thought about playing the moment to moment in Majora's Mask, where
yes,
you can't go backwards, so you have to think about everything you've done previously and how it's going to affect what you do from day 1, day 2, day 3 next time. It's the same exact sort of process. Like, where do I go now? Like, what places am I going to stop to do this very specific objective that I've now decided this loop is going to be focused on from, morning to the evening?
The vibe that I get, and like looking at one of this is like the weapon unlock tree of like different weapons you can find and objectives to lead you to them. Like, just looking at this, and then I'm not going to show the one for the visionaries just because it has spoilers on it, but it gives me the vibe of like, this is your Charlie Day pinning up everything simulator, right? Like,
yeah.
This is really like, okay, this leads to this. If I do this on this day, it'll do this, and this is connected to this. Like, it really feels like that, and it's cool.
But in a way that feels like reasonable to look at. Like, the part of the joke about that particular scene is that it makes no sense to look at. Like, he's sort of spun himself into nonsense, and anyone looking at the board can't figure out what the logic is. Where this kind of feels like the shaken out, sort of organized version of one of those like FBI webs. And maybe part of it is because you're making it, like you're kind of in the process of it, so it makes sense to you.
Yeah, exactly. I think it is like one of those things that makes sense to you. But I love like the once you figure like a big clue out, you get this little animated cutscene. It definitely feels like you're on the inside, and anyone that was looking out from the outside would think you're crazy. And they kind of lean into that, and I really like it.
But what I also love is the way it sort of organizes your next objectives based on those big breakthroughs. So you're not sort of on the hook necessarily to remember that breakthrough
Yes.
in detail. It now knows that, oh, these two people will be in the same area at this time. So maybe we'll put that on the map
Yes.
instead of just you having to remember that those two people are there.
Yeah, and we might see that specific instance too. So we're gonna just go to Updom, which is kind of like the neighborhood area. There's no visionary right there. This should just be a good like walk around, and I can show off one of the secrets that I like. And you can see when we go to a level, we can see these are a bunch of discoveries. And I can highlight multiple ones of these at a time. In addition, if you find it, you can see the map of the area, which is always handy. But these will kind of just lead. These aren't always to get to the visionary or whatever, but these will lead you in directions of points of interest. And they'll mark it in your HUD as well, which I appreciate.
Yes.
So we'll do the Moxie hacking. That's fun. And where's the one that I really... That's fine. We'll just get in there. And I'll set it to online. Right now, I cannot be invaded by Juliana, who can be played by another player, just because there's no target on this level. She can only invade you if there's a target there. And you can always play the game single player. You will still be invaded. I'll let Juliana talk.
I've never been a cannibal.
Sure, even on your worst day.
That's the past, baby. I am a man of the future.
Man of the future, after my own heart. So here we are. We're in Deathloop. If you've played Dishonored, or even like Bioshock, which Dishonored kind of takes itself out of, this should feel familiar.
Yeah, this is definitely in the System Shock pipeline.
Yes.
Of immersive sim gamey thing. Black Reef itself is very much like a Columbia or a Rapture.
Yes.
Kind
of
I think almost like purposefully. Like this feels a lot like Rapture with our Columbia without the sort of patriotism,
yes.
but with all the madness.
So I can turn myself invisible. I can actually the two upgrades I got for invisibility, which are great. So invisibility is one of the powers you can get from one of the targets, and if you keep killing them, like in future runs, after you've learned to keep some of the powers, you can get upgrades for them. So the two upgrades I have are that if I stand still, it doesn't drain my invisibility, which is extremely useful. And also, if I attack someone, I don't go visible anymore. Usually it breaks your invisibility, but not for me. I don't know which powers you tend to use, Jarrett.
I think Aether, I only have the one upgrade where I don't break stealth when I kill someone in it. And I have an upgrade for Shift, which is, I think, the first power I got, which kind of teleports you around very Dishonored style.
Yes.
I got the upgrade that lets you drop kick people.
Yeah, that one's cool.
Which is, I think I used twice, but it's hilarious, so I took it.
Yeah, and much like, immersive sims of the past, I'm on a rooftop, as you would expect right now, but, I could also get down in the street. In fact, just for funsies, let's get a little chaotic. How's that sound, Jarrett? Let's have some chaos.
Yeah, the sort of systems that start firing once you start shit in the streets is kind of hilarious.
Yes, very much so. So I'm just gonna go invisible, and these guys aren't gonna know what's going on. This is my very nice shotgun that cuts
We can
through
get that off one of
people.
the guys.
There you go. And you can see everyone just drops loot to some extent. Like, these are little upgrades that I'll be able to unlock between levels.
And later in the night, you might find that they drop better loot because they kind of get more intense as the night progresses.
Yeah, so the more visionaries you kill in a given run, the more security goes up, which is cool. One thing I'll say, like, as a fan of Dishonored that I love is they've done away with keys. There are no keys in the game. Anything that you would need to get access to, you can get through hacking, which you can just kind of do at range with this, I think hacker thingamajig is what it's called, like the actual name.
Hackermajig or something.
Hackermajig. And I'll say, like, I appreciate there are very few like video game environments where it's believable that like if you just shot a dude, no one else would really care. But they definitely go out of their way to make that this place.
It is kind of funny to see because it started off to me as like a sort of weird criticism, like why can't I kill a dude right next to another dude and that other dude doesn't actually care? And I guess there is an argument that maybe that's just bad AI, but I think the other argument is it's very ludonarrative. Like these people don't give a fuck at all because they know they're coming back tomorrow.
Yes.
Like they're too busy partying. Like they come here to party.
Yeah. The whole point of this loop is for them to, essentially party forever, which seems kind of short-sighted.
Yeah, not the best decision made by the people who show up here.
Yeah, but the visionaries all have kind of their own machinations, their own goals, and so if you're looking for those more interesting motivations, you'll get them when you start getting into the major targets. But it is funny that just all the people, they very contextually don't care. And
some of them do. You'll find that some of them actually do care a little bit, and they become their own sort of like sub characters for the very short amount of time they spent alive.
Yes.
But they kind of try to maneuver around you in ways that you wouldn't expect like a normal random mob dude to do.
Yeah. This is a good example of like the vibe check of Black Reef.
Yeah.
He's very quiet, but also make me closer.
If I don't come back, tell Jarrett she can have my nigga for conditioned detachment.
I want you to tell me how it feels to break your spine.
I know you're only getting subtitles here, but I'm sure you remember the VO for this
Yeah.
part.
Hurry up. Losing my voice here. Jump already.
And
You never go. You'll never know.
Did you think endless fun would be so fucking cool?
so that's just kind of what they're doing for casual fun here.
I think as you go on, like a party is being built like throughout the day in this Dorsey Square, and you'll notice like a cannon gets set up later, and people are shooting themselves out of it. Like they don't actually care. Like they're just here to party hard and then die.
Speaking of death, so I'm sure some people, if you aren't familiar yet, like knowing that this is all like a loop and that death is kind of like gonna reset you, they've built the mechanic into it of this kind of unique power to cult, which is, I think it's called rewind. Basically, if I die twice, each of those first two deaths are kind of like a freebie, and I will rewind a few seconds back to the position I was in before. It doesn't actually rewind time, so like they were still alerted, they still fought me, they still think they killed me, but I'm able to go again, and you can see under my health bar I have one rewind left, and then on my third death, that is the true death. That'll set you back to the beginning, but that resets your revives every time you finish a mission and restart one. So but if you want to keep your goodies, just like Dark Souls, you gotta go back to where you died and get it.
Hey! Who killed you?
Excuse me, I'm sorry.
Yeah, and the corpse run can still be daunting. It may be more so than in Dark Souls, especially if you kind of happened upon a group of people.
Yeah.
And they think you're dead and decided that even though they're alerted, they're going to stay where they were. You might not have to kill, the same mobs on the way to them, but that group of people are still there, still armed. And you, like, as in this scenario where we didn't really do much to them the first time they kill us.
Yeah, it gets harder and harder because more people are coming up.
And there's more and more risk because you really want that shit. And hell, since they've alerted everyone, people are coming out from places they weren't previously to come here to see what's going on.
But I got my residuum back. That's the kind of currency used to carry things over from run to run in true roguelike fashion. But yeah, especially like in some of the later stages when there's like a party and there's just a ton of dudes and you have to get kind of in the thick of it to take out a target, getting taken out and alerting everyone and failing and then having to go back and get your stuff can be a real bummer. So let's we're gonna check out Otto's workshop here. So this place, little mechanic spoilers here, burns down after the morning, and if you want to find out, you can just walk in here and be like, well, this probably is a safety hazard. This doesn't seem right.
Someone should really call someone.
But if I find what all these are plugged into and destroy them, maybe I can prevent this from being destroyed in the afternoon. So I use a short-range sniper to decapitate them. I also really like the kind of initial gun they give you. I have an upgraded version of it now, but it is a stealth weapon that shoots nails, like a nail gun. It is a cool, I think, original take on a stealth weapon in a fun way.
And it does do the thing that a lot of this game does where, you know, the entire idea is like how can you do what you want, how you want, but there's always sort of a cost. And stealth here can feel very powerful, but there's a cost. Like the effective range of that nail gun is actually pretty short.
Yes.
And it's one you don't know of until you miss or until you hit someone like with a headshot from 100 yards away and realize they're not dead. And you're like, oh, maybe I should have closed the gap, like distance a little bit. Same with like the hack-a-majig where there aren't special keys for every door. This can open every door, but you need to get pretty close to the door to open it.
Yep.
You always have to risk yourself a little bit to make these things work.
And then, it's funny you bring up those two specific things, because two of the upgrades I never go without now and they're like perks that you can unlock by defeating those kind of powerful enemies, are increased range on my stealth gun. So the effective range of this is much further. And it's cool. It's a cool weapon perk in that it says the range at which this does full damage is greatly extended. And the hacking extender as well. And I also have one that makes it so my walking doesn't make noise.
I use the hacking speed boosts often.
Yeah, hacking speed plus hacking extender is a great combo, but that takes 2 of your 4 perk slots, right? And that's the kind of trade-off that you have to take.
I also you get double jump immediately. It's one of the ones you start off with every run, and I think I always keep it.
Yeah, me too. There are some times when if I need an extra spot and I know I'm taking shift, the warp, I will sometimes forego it, but I almost always regret it. Just because it's nice to be able to jump up on something without having to use any energy to do it.
And you'll spend so much time in these buildings and you start to get to know them pretty intimately. And you're like, I could have definitely just double jumped up that, but I decided to be different this time for some reason.
For some dumb reason. I'll say the not moving and stealth for taking out security cameras and stuff it's so clutch. Just because you can kind of get in their radius, because you were talking about that kind of lower range. So when I still had to deal with that lower range, I could just kind of walk up, stand still in front of a security camera, and then hack it. Not have to worry about it. Boom, boom, boom. So we're filing this. All right, so that's the last of those weird little generator boxes. Pull this back. I don't know.
Now, autos might not burn down.
Yeah, we saved a workshop, which we should all be proud of. Fire safety is incredibly important. I don't know who just shot me. Somebody, I guess.
Well, you did loudly shotgun that last one, so maybe someone heard you.
Hey, I mean that's fair. So we've successfully prevented this from burning down.
All quiet now. Sleep tight, machine.
And we've gotten our quippy one-liner in, so I think we can leave.
Mm-hmm.
You can see my objectives, the Moxie control system, and the library are there. If you should so want to explore them. I'll say one of the things that it took me forever, and to be fair, it's one of the things you do later in the game, is in the library. One of the first hints I got was Alexis, one of the visionaries, had a thing delivered to the library. Go check it out. And it's just this talking doll. It's super annoying. And I'm like, I have no idea what this is for, but I'm sure it'll come back later. It does. So that's why the library is important.
There's a lot of that you'll come across that is both time sensitive and you'll see the consequence of if you didn't, or did interact with it earlier.
Yeah.
There's another one in the library where like they're stockpiling guns just in the library.
Oh, that's cool.
And if you go early enough, you can take all the guns basically. And if you do, they won't have them later on. So you'll have more dudes with machetes running around instead of like just fully like automatic weapons.
That's cool. I didn't know that. And that, a perfect example of all the little intricacies that you can find in this game. So this is I was gunned down. I typically don't play online, but I'm going to for this next part. So if we get invaded, fingers crossed, maybe we'll get invaded. Some shenanigans will happen.
I often play online. I find the Juliana like sort of troll to be a very funny part of this game.
It is funny for sure.
I would also admit it's also a very frustrating part of this game.
Yeah.
Especially when you as soon as you walk in, you hear the little theme and Juliana's on your trail, and then she just spawns like down the hall from you, and you're like, great.
Sometimes it can be a good thing though, because then you can just like get
it out of the way now.
Yeah.
But sometimes when you don't see her immediately, you can kind of start thinking about how to counter her. I've like very often like if it's been a couple minutes, I'll go find like the automatic, like the auto gun suitcases, and kind of like run around with one to like drop one as soon as I assume that she's around.
That's smart.
Start setting up traps for her.
I found the go invisible and then equip my sniper rifle and just stand still on a rooftop and just look, and eventually I'll find her, which is fun. These were the two upgrades I was talking about. Sure shot, greatly increased range, which this weapon's accurate, and then the distance over which your weapon does full damage is greatly increased. And this is an upgraded version where every shot will send like a shockwave that will tag enemies around where I shot. Which is handy in two ways, in that like I can take out a target and then it'll mark all the ones near it. But also I can just shoot it blindly into a room and it'll mark anybody in there if I can't see them, which is super nifty. But yeah, these are the four kind of perks I was talking about. There's a tier system. There's blue, gray, and purple, and sometimes you get the exotic, like the unique items that are this orange. How about I not use shift? I will use something else. There are 6, I think. I only have 4. Let's use Nexus. I like Nexus. It'll link enemies together, so what I do to one happens to all of them. So we're gonna go back to Updom now. I know we're only showing one level, how uninteresting. But now that we have done some shenanigans there, we can go back and find more. And we can also try and take out Charlie, who's a visionary that will be there. I figure this will be like a good show off of the game. So I'm curious because we haven't really talked about it yet, Jarrett. How do you feel about Deathloop?
I think it's something, it didn't click immediately. I think you really have to get past the beginning of this game, which doesn't play much differently than the rest of it, but you're definitely getting tutorialized for like
Temporary body
a while
longer than I expected.
Yeah.
Something that flies.
But once the cuffs are off, you kind of just express and explore as usual. There's Juliana.
Yeah, this is literally like one of the first times I'm playing online, and I didn't bring shifts. I'm just going to do this.
But I really like the approach to sort of spying, because it's kind of what this is. Like there's action in it, but it's kind of like a spy game.
Yeah.
You have to go gather, like you spend most of the game gathering information. Even if that does mean like you then kill someone, like that's just kind of another fact-finding adventure until you get to the last loop where you do the job, which is kill them all at once, or in one loop.
Yeah. And
but the various twists and turns you can kind of seemingly organically go on just by doing the small things is really cool.
I have a feeling this isn't going to go my way. I'm very concerned right now. gonna try and find a rooftop.
I feel like the move might be to get higher. Because she's in up dumb, she's almost definitely on a roof somewhere. Creeping.
Creeping. And I just always assume Juliana is also invisible. But I guess she...
Yeah, I don't think I've like played against one that isn't. Oh, that could be her.
And she's...
And she's gone.
Yeah, this shotgun that I got is my safety net. And you see those guys that glow, that means they have mods on them that make them stronger. That's why they're kind of a little bit tougher.
And Juliana's, they can take weapons like from their own cult games to come get you.
And she'll always have a slab on her ship
Yeah.
upgrade, but I've already got all those.
But I think she has unique abilities, like she can,
She can disguise herself.
yeah, she can hide herself as like other dudes. She can just pretend to be on patrols.
But yeah, so the big thing is the targets in the game drop a ton of residuum, including Juliana, as she is one of the targets. She's just kind of always a presence, a possible presence. And that is, those big 10k drops of residuum are usually how you get some of the bigger upgrades to carry over between runs.
I always liked this. I like this mechanic because it always felt like what the initial pitch for the big sister was in BioShock 2.
Yeah, totally.
Like the concept was that she was almost like Nemesis in Resident Evil. Like she was following you at all times, and at any point she could make whatever you're doing in this now section like a problem because she's there. But it never really worked out that way because it's like impossible to do. No one can figure out how to make this work.
Yes, exactly.
But I guess one way to make it work is to make it the Dark Souls thing and make it an invader, make another player be a problem for you.
Yeah, which makes sense. And I'm as someone who didn't necessarily want to engage with the mechanic as well, I appreciate that they let you opt out. But Juliana is still a thing, you know. She still invades when you're playing single player. It's just AI, I feel like it's significantly less often. It's
less often, and the ways in which she invades are a bit more predictable. She acts a lot more like a normal visionary, except she's not like tethered to any particular place.
Yeah, and she's no pushover though. I'll say
No.
To their credit of making that still.
But she's easier to hide from or to outrun because she is just a branch of if-then statements. So you gotta watch them work.
Yeah.
Once you go away far enough, she'll like kind of decide, does she chase or does she just kind of stay here and figure it out?
Yeah, and it's always cool like when she does decide to chase, like some of the things that the AI will do to fuck with you.
Yeah.
It's very fun. Okay, we've killed a lot of people. Kind of inadvertently, but here we are.
It came for one and got several.
I've never been in this apartment, but I guess we'll just go through here. Watch for alarms. Oh.
And like one strapped to bombs.
Oh, there's a guy in here. Seen worse game plans. This is all for you. Just gonna.
Okay.
Oh, there's a guy sleeping there.
Oh, I didn't even see the dude sleeping there.
I think he was the thing talking about his back, but that's fine. Cool. Yeah, I've upgraded sniper nest at noon. Oh yeah, there's like a sniper that comes at noon. I like that they plan it out beforehand. That's very funny.
Oh, is this the?
Yeah,
Did they give you a gift?
They put the box out.
Yeah. Okay.
They like lay
That's
a
funny.
trap. Yeah, it's very funny that they planned.
Because as soon as you heard it, like I assumed there was a sniper. I looked for an open window, got in, and found one, which is where you find like a pretty decent sniper rifle pretty early. But there's also like I didn't realize like every window looking in the square had a sniper in it.
Yeah,
and it's funny to see the plan.
Yeah. Or at least that's the sniper, and then there's people around.
And then there's like people around who are like kind of posted for you.
All right, so the target is Charlie, and you can do like a little digging and research to kind of figure it out, but falls to death. I fall to my death a lot in this game, and it's very frustrating. I'm just gonna. Don't worry about this. I'm totally invisible. Can't see me. He's like kind of off across a drawbridge on his own little island almost, playing this weird, dumb, quote unquote video game in his post time loop world where immersion is something that you can really create, man. If you just want to get a vibe check for Charlie. And what he's all
when
about.
death isn't really a consequence, you now have free reign to be the cruelest thing you can be, just because.
Exactly.
And that's Charlie.
That's Charlie. Now Charlie did a thing where he cut half of his brain out and made a robot out of half of his brain, and I have in more recent runs befriended his robot half. So if you hear his robot half talking to me like I'm his best friend, that's why. I am. Can confirm.
Mhm.
Oh man, not having. So shift is the ability that you get from Charlie. So this area I like is kind of designed around it. Like if I peek out this window, I could like shift over there.
Yeah, there's
if
a
I
lot of
wanted to.
circumventing you can do with shifts.
But of course I didn't bring it.
So you're playing hard mode now.
Yeah, I mean you gotta challenge yourself every now and again. But again, this invisibility, extremely clutch. You see, there's another place where you can very easily kind of shift over there. But you can also, well, this one is just a little hint for those folks playing at home. Check that out. I wonder what's up there. I don't know if you've gone through that window before, Jarrett.
No, I don't think so.
Might be the most direct path, let's say.
Mm.
But it's tricky to pull off. I think you definitely need the shift upgrade that lets you go a little bit further. And again, I like so Charlie's what's it? 2-bit I think is what he calls his.
2-bit is the name of the robot. Yeah.
His robot brain. 2-bit will once 2-bit finds out about you and wants to protect Charlie from you, he'll like close windows to stop you from getting in, like drop grates on them. Of course, you can hack them, but. All right, so Charlie's on the top floor.
He also kind of runs the game here. Like, the idea is somebody's designated like the invader, and then everybody else has to kind of stop you from getting to the top floor, which is like the atmosphere. And you're supposed to be like an alien that's going to poison the universe or something. So as you go up, every floor, 2-bit will start narrating you going up, but as like an alien.
Yeah, it's cool. I'm gonna kick this guy.
Yeah, Deathloop has a top tier kick.
Yeah, it's very good. Very, if you liked Assassin's Creed Odyssey, the Sparta kick in that sometimes gives me that vibe. Alright, so I'm gonna see if I can get to Charlie's little safe house. Have you also found the door here, Jarrett?
Yeah.
Have you been able to go through it yet?
I haven't been able to go through it yet, but I found it.
It's very difficult to be able to go through it.
I think I died on the way, and I was like, all right, well, maybe I'll just try that one some other time.
And what I'll say is I like, just to kind of speak to that door a little bit, like, they contextualize the fact that, everybody's got these powers.
Already got full ammo.
Like they're from these slabs that they found, and each visionary has a slab. So they have created technology around that to kind of prevent other visionaries from using slabs,
I'm good.
which is cool.
Our ship was disabled.
We're just gonna.
Yeah, and the relationship between the visionaries is like obviously very tenuous. So they are a unit in sort of circumstance only,
Yeah.
and all of the ways that you can sort of nullify them, you can tell were also developed by by each other visionary who's either looking for a way to like coexist peacefully, or at least in a way that they feel safe around some of these psychopaths, or like actively try to overthrow the entire thing. Because they're all terrible.
They are all objectively awful. You see, this place is kind of a gauntlet. You can hear Charlie yell, "Kill him!" Now I've revealed myself. I like hanging out at this door and just kind of funneling through here. Maybe I can make that jump. Oh,
Nope.
at least I didn't die.
Yeah.
I'll take that. Although I might be SOL.
You can probably double jump then.
There we go. Oh,
Good back to the beginning. But...
I'll figure it out. As I try and first-person platform. Charlie locked me out. But yeah, so this is, for example, kind of like a stronghold. Not every visionary has like a big thing, an ordeal, so to speak, that you have to go through, but most of them do.
Most have a version of an ordeal. Some of them are less lay siege to a building and more like you found them in this open area, but there's like several open areas that they could be.
And some of them, like, the ordeal is themselves.
Yeah. One in particular, the ordeal is after the fact, after you find them.
Yeah, true.
And even maybe after you kill them.
And some, like, the trick is just finding them. Kind of out of the crowd. Oh, this isn't going my way.
No. The shortcut worked until you fell down to the beginning of the building.
Yeah, that was kind of a turning point, let's say. I guess I can still be invisible. Okay, well, I mean, I'm here again.
All right. Can you help you establish you can make that jump?
Yeah,
You can. Oh, you're back. It's like you never left.
exactly. All right, let's see if I can ask 2-Bit for a little help.
To stop all this.
Please, 2-Bit. Oh. If I evacuate all personnel from the planet. Let's see what happens.
2-Bit, I need you to evacuate the whole building.
All personnel advised. Evacuation is go. Now exit building. I repeat.
Let's close
now
this.
Exit building.
Thank you, 2-Bit. I've actually not listened to this.
Repeat after me. I state your name. I
When she made him record a waiver. That's very funny. What I'll say the best thing about this game is every time you read something, it'll just summarize it for you in the corner.
Yes.
So if you really don't want to read everything like me, you can just quickly look at it, and then Colt will kind of relay his takeaways.
Or if there's a detail in the thing you read that you need, for something that's not just like a main objective, because it'll probably remember for you, but there are some things you'll do as sub-objectives that, like, knowing a bit of a thing you listened to would have super helped.
Yes.
It's probably in summer.
Alright, well, now everyone's evacuated, so this is much easier. But it looks like Charlie's decided to run and hide in his safe house, which is well guarded. Not well enough, Jarrett. The classic.
Hacking minds also good.
Oh yeah, super good. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna go the other way if I can. Yeah, that door's actually probably blocked, right? Yeah. I've played this level a lot. Alright, fine. We'll just go through the front door. I don't want Charlie to, like, leave, is my concern. as long as I do
So
this right.
I think last time I was in it,
Don't need
Charlie just shows up in the room that we just left,
Yeah.
and we fight there. I don't know if you like.
He'll start running around, but if I go here, I just go invisible, and I hack this.
And maybe he just sees him there. Oh no.
Oh, bum bum ba That's always like my favorite is the off-screen. Got him.
Oh yeah, I've had a few of those.
And you have to have some of them by the end, which is cool. At least one. Boom, boom, boom. And there's Charlie. So that's one down. You see, it can be an ordeal. I should have used some of my knowledge of this specific map and brought shift. But yeah, this is actually the shotgun that I use. So doing damage slows enemies. If anyone has played Destiny, a lot of like exotic weapons in this game, which is cool.
Yeah. Some of the descriptions though are very funny.
Yes. Including like the perks and everything. They kind of lean into the humor of it across the board. So that's it. So now we just got to get out of here. But before we can, when Juliana showed up, she puts this turret, this satellite dish up that prevents you from exiting the level until you kind of deal with it. I don't even know what like floor I'm on. Oh, hey guy. Hopefully, my goal now is just not to die. Although if I do, at least people kind of get to see what that looks like.
The goal is to not die, but if you do die, then that was also the goal.
I was very lucky that that didn't do 5
Wow.
damage.
Yeah, look at you. Like Skyrim sliding down.
Yeah, that's exactly what I thought. I'm like, oh, I'm like a horse. Why the long face, cult? I guess there is like a little approach up here that I haven't even seen before. All right,
There's a tunnel that goes under the bridge, I thought.
really?
Or goes up to the bridge, maybe. On the other side. It's what the two dudes on the wall on the other side are like trying to tunnel through.
Headshot. Take that health. Again, invisibility. Cannot stress enough. I don't think there was like an invisibility power in Dishonored specifically. Oh, I can hack that.
Not that I remember, but I didn't play 2.
Oh, Jarrett. Don't tell me that.
I've played very few arcane games.
Really?
What's funny is the only
Man, you would
the
love
only
this.
2 arcane games I've played to the end were the 2 no one talks about. Dark Messiah, Might and Magic. Which I don't even know why I played that game. I think it was just post high school me playing anything Might and Magic related because
Sure.
I wanted another real one and they wouldn't make one. And Arx Fatalis.
Yo, Heroes of Might and Magic is legit though.
Yeah, I wanted a Heroes game, and they kept making these other games in like the IP, and I was like, all right, well maybe this will be close, and it's not close at all.
Yeah. God. Gotta stack your units, man.
But Arx Fatalis was all right.
I've killed a lot of people in this level. there's an achievement for killing everyone except the Visionary in a run, which I've also done
Really?
by some weird turn of events. I'm gonna grab this because
I don't even know that I could find everyone to kill them.
it was
I guess I could,
the
but
smallest,
it'd be
I think it was
tough.
Carl's Bay, which is like the smallest area. Man, I got a lot of money. Sorry, dude. Oh no!
Yeah, that's not a great time to reload
I'm gonna shoot this lady with a nail.
with the sidearm being a nail gun. Yeah.
Love that radial number pad. Any
Not enough
UI,
radio number pads.
any UI that like looks like the thing that it is, always into it.
Hmm.
We did it. I didn't know, I planned what we were gonna do for this Viewpoints. I felt like that would probably be a good idea. Did not know if I was gonna be able to make it. That's Deathloop, I think.
Yeah, that is conceptually Deathloop.
And you can see like my familiarity helped kind of get through that level, certainly. And having the Charlie thing that I did, you could like the 2-bit having everyone evacuate. You can't do that just like on your first run, for example. So that's something you can work towards.
You can have everyone evacuate, but you probably don't know that Charlie is held up in his safe room the first time. Like, there's a lot of information you don't know about how the rest of that stage goes, that you'll still be climbing up the tower, basically, and there might still be dudes who haven't evacuated yet.
Yeah, which we kind of saw a little bit of. There's just like 1 or 2 guys left. I guess one last thing before we sign off here, like just to show. So when I showed the loadout earlier, but the kind of infusion system I mentioned is like how you keep stuff, right? So everything without this symbol is stuff that I've kept. So you can see I have a lot of guns that I've just kind of kept. And same with, these are your character trinkets and then weapon trinkets, so like perks for guns and perks for you. And then these are your slab upgrades, so these would equip to your superpowers to make them better. And it's not like the slabs, it's what, 15,000 I think to keep them. You can see I have
It's like 10,000 to upgrade them.
Yeah, and you get 10k for killing a visionary. So if you got their slab, you already have 10k presumably, and you see I have 27,000. So you get plenty. It's just, kind of like by the end, what do I want to keep, what do I don't? And anything you don't want to keep, you can sacrifice to just get more residuum to hopefully maybe get you over enough to keep the things you want to keep. I'll say,
and you kind of need to use them per loop because it doesn't travel with you through loops.
Yeah.
So.
I do wish there was kind of more stuff to do to have here. A lot of them, like, in my opinion, there are just kind of some ones that are way better than others.
Yeah.
But there's plenty of variety if you're looking for that. If you want to have that freedom of customization, like if you wanted to run a really, really aggressive cult, you could do Nexus, which links people together. Chronesis, which is telekinesis, so you could throw people around, link them, throw them, shoot them, boom, 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 and then have perks that regen your health faster, make you take less damage, stuff like that. So they have given you at least that flexibility to really be a beefcake, which there's really nothing like that in Dishonored. You kind of always have to be going in and out of stealth to some extent.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that's Deathloop. It's very good. I don't think it is as good as some of Arcane's other games. If folks like this, I think you should go play Dishonored 2 right now. You can skip the first one, doesn't matter. Just jump right into 2. And I think that is a better game, but I really like Deathloop, and I think it's a lot of fun.
I think it's like also actively a different game.
Yes.
It's kind of like what happens when you have a team that does one thing, try to do something else, but can't really let go of the other thing.
Yeah.
Sometimes that makes like for really decent like experimentation within a genre.
Yeah, there's nothing else like Deathloop, except for like the closest thing, just because it's also a first-person game, is The Outer Wilds, which is a worse playing video game, but a better time loop story. So I'm like really excited that we're getting more time loop stories. We're getting like action-y time loop stories like this that are fun and weird and wacky. So yeah, thanks for hanging out, Jarrett.
No problem.
Yeah.
I like Deathloop, and everyone should play.
Deathloop, good. Go play Deathloop if you have a PS5. Thanks for watching, everybody.
Too late to redeem Dishonored 2. You should probably play it, but we can't sell 3 million copies of the game anymore.
That's true.
It's not going to matter anymore.
If you have
So if you really like Arcane and you want to make it a thing, now's the time.
Now's the time. Now show up for this. If you have a PS5, obviously buy Deathloop, and if you have an Xbox and can't play Deathloop, go play Dishonored 2 because you definitely have Game Pass. So, That's everybody wins, in my opinion. There you go. But yeah, thanks for watching, everybody. Goodbye.
Bye.